So we all lay there, silently staring at the roof of our tent. And then, the tent began to shake. And I said, "I think that's a polar bear." And my teammates said, "Will you shut up? It's 5 a.m. And that's not a wholly unreasonable reaction. They were American, they're used to camping with grizzly bears or bobcats. I'm British, the most dangerous thing I've camped with is an urban fox. So there's no doubt I was the most paranoid. So I lay down and said, okay, maybe I'm overreacting, calm down, it's just the wind. And then the tent began to shake again. And I said, I really think that's a polar bear. And again they said, it's the wind, calm down. So I lay down again. And then we heard, and I said, I think that's a polar bear. So I opened the front of the tent, and sure enough, perfectly silhouetted against our rain cover was the outline of a bear. Its teeth so clearly defined in the shadow, it looked like the Jurassic Park logo. So I grabbed the flag and I put it out of the door. And we'd seen a lot of bears up until this point, and usually a shout and a scream would be enough to make them run away. So to put a flare next to this bear's head, I almost felt bad, but needs must. So I pulled the trigger, bang! The flare went off, it shot into the near side hill, the sound ripped across the silent landscape, and the bear didn't move. What do we do? I don't know, I'm getting out. So I crawled out the back of the tent, and sure enough, the bear was standing there, pressed against the side that turned its head to look at me. And the others came out and I said, throw stones, throw stones. So we all started throwing stones at it. And almost all of them missed, because it turns out, even when their lives depend on it, Americans are shit at cricket. But the occasional rock did hit the bear. It twitched, but it didn't move. And after 10 minutes, and that 10 minutes, I promise you, felt like 50 years. That 10 minutes was the longest 10 minutes of my life. And it took a big step, and then turned away to walk off into the hill, every now and then stopping to turn and look at us. I have to admit, that's from the internet. I was too scared to take a photo. We searched our camp. It hadn't touched anything. We had food, we had rubbish, even us it could have eaten. But the only thing it decided to explore was my friend West's t-shirt. It destroyed it, which goes to show what West smelt like at that point. When we made it back to the UK, it was a big deal. People in the UK seemed to care about the Northwest Passage. I was interviewed on BBC Breakfast, and then ITV, then something like 250 newspapers. It was on podcasts. I got a book deal. There Will Be Headwinds, available in all the bookstores. I won awards like European Adventurer of the Year, which is an award I really didn't expect. And then I won Asian Adventurer of the Year, which is an award I really didn't expect. And had this happened after the Atlantic, it would have been everything I could have dreamed of. Records, validation, newspapers, awards. Except I had long since moved past that as my metric of success. I now realized that it was not the records, but it was the way that mattered to me. The experiences we had, and more importantly, the experiences we shared. And some of the most profound experiences we shared were the polar bears, the ones that were close and terrifying, and the ones that were far away and majestic. And to remind myself that it's those experiences, the bears, that are my way, I no longer ask myself, what's my next world record? I now ask myself, what's my next polar bear? And if you discover your way, you'll be happier and hardier, and success, performance, elevation will all simply be a byproduct of your intrinsic pursuit. So what is your way? Thank you very much for taking the time to listen.